Just to let you know, I am recording this session, so please do get in touch with me after today's session at georgia@unibuddy.com, and I will be able to send you the recording, send you the slides, whatever you need. And if you have any questions afterwards, you can also send them then. We'll have an opportunity at the end of the workshop today to have a little discussion, some questions, and kind of throwing some ideas around. But please do feel free to drop my email down. I'll put it in the chat there. It's georgia@unibuddy.com. So yeah, feel free to, Unibuddy. So Georgia@Unibuddy, not uni. There you go. So please do feel free to email me for the slides, for the recording, anything like that. But yes, I'm Georgia. I'm a customer success executive at Unibuddy, as this slide may suggest. And ultimately, I handle support tickets on the support queue, but I do also have some other responsibilities within my role. So I host the ambassador training, the fortnightly ambassador training. Hopefully some of your ambassadors have attended that in the past, but I run that every fortnight, which is basically teaching ambassadors how to be good ambassadors on the Unibuddy platform, kind of what are the best practices, how does it work, why do we do it, all that kind of thing. So I host that on the fortnight, and I've also been hosting our Take 5 video series. So this is a series of 5 videos, all about 5 minutes long, and I talk about different things that you can do best practice wise. So sometimes I'll talk about maybe how you can improve your live events. I talk about ambassador management. There's one about insights and analytics. So keep an eye out for those. We do release them once a month, and they're all on our YouTube channel. So if you haven't checked them out just yet, then please do take a look and try and find them on YouTube. But they are really handy, really, if I do say so myself, kind of bite-sized chunks of knowledge that only take 5 minutes out of your day to learn something new and improve the way that you use Unibuddy. But enough about plugging myself. Today, I'm going to go through, obviously, how to improve your social media and kind of using buddy generated content to really make that content pop, if you like. So first of all is the introduction today, as you can see. Then we're going to talk about liking, sharing and subscribing. We're going to talk about the right content and then buddy generated content, and then we'll open the floor for those questions and discussions at the end there. So let's begin. Like, share and subscribe. So there's so many different social media channels now. It's not just as simple as using Facebook, using Twitter. If you're going to use social media, you should really think about using a whole plethora of different channels. So of course, you may decide to use a few of these, you may decide to use all of them, but I definitely suggest using more than one. So you've got Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, but you've also got that buddy generated content. And I think that one on the end does sometimes get forgotten. Those blogs and those vlogs within that Unibuddy platform, you can really be utilizing to make the most of those buddies and their kind of social media experience, and also the content that they can create for you. But also some of these you may have never thought of before. Maybe you've never thought of actually reaching out to your prospective students through LinkedIn, but actually nowadays there are more and more people on LinkedIn looking for that information about universities. I've noticed that actually a lot of ambassadors will come and talk to me on LinkedIn. So if ambassadors are talking to me on LinkedIn, it's likely that those prospective students are just one step behind and potentially on LinkedIn. So it's worth considering all of these different channels. Of course, TikTok is that hot one at the moment, where that new generation, that Gen Z really are, and looking for that fun content and looking for something entertaining ultimately. So I think consider more than one channel, but also consider tailoring it to that channel, because something you post on Twitter might not go down as well on TikTok or might not go down as well on LinkedIn. So please have a consideration about the kind of atmosphere, the kind of environment that it's in within what channel, and try and repurpose as much as you can. The right content. So here's just a few examples of how different universities have actually used those different channels. And you can see a real difference in the way that they've approached these channels. So as you can see, you've got Instagram. So with Instagram, you can have either a grid post or you can also have stories. So in this instance, these universities have utilized that grid post on Instagram. So as you can see on the left, that grid post, they've used to introduce some of their students. So you've got Patricia from physics, and they've used it as a sort of student showcase at Christchurch University and Christchurch College, sorry, of Oxford. So that's kind of one way to think about using it. You've also got Maynooth and Metropolia, who've used grids in a different way. So actually these are short little videos. Hopefully it's going to work for me today. Oh, there we go. So as you can see, they've got kind of several different posts on their feed. So on this one, you've got those kind of meet each of the ambassadors, kind of little profiles, if you like, on their grid there. And really their whole...
I always had my heart set on the nude.
Oh, there you go.
I always had my heart...
And yeah, so some videos mixed in with those pictures there, but really showcasing who the ambassadors are, introducing those ambassadors so that they can kind of reach out and know who they're talking to. So that's quite a nice way. They've obviously completely used all of their Instagram for this. And then you've got Metropolia on the right hand side here. So very similar in that they're kind of showcasing their ambassadors, but they're also kind of interspersing just kind of general content that those prospective students might find interesting. So it's not just those faces of those ambassadors, but actually kind of what are they up to? There was like a camera there, I think, on this one. Yep. So, you know, filming day for an innovation project. This one is, I would be in Paris right now if Corona had not ruined my exchange plans. But, you know, that very personal, very human content that maybe they would have seen from their friends. You know, if they're scrolling through Instagram, they see something like this, they're likely to stop because they're thinking, oh, is this a post from my friend or is this a post from university? And actually, you're likely to get that engagement in that way by kind of meeting and tailoring it to Instagram. What are they going to find on Instagram? What interests them? What are they coming to Instagram for? So moving on to stories. So on Instagram, as I'm sure many of you are aware, you can do the grid posts, but you can also do stories. And stories offer a unique opportunity to have kind of like a time limited series of pictures or videos. And now Instagram have actually introduced a new feature where you can save them to your highlights. When you save them to your highlights, then they stick around for a bit longer. So to begin with, on your, so for instance, London University, to use that as an example, if you had it on your story, it would only last for that day. But if you save it to your highlights, then if somebody goes onto your profile and seeks it out on your highlights, they can find all of these old archived stories ultimately. The stories offer kind of a unique opportunity to use things like that see more swipe up button, and also an opportunity to kind of have something a bit fun, something time limited. You can do these kind of student takeovers that a lot of universities are doing. So on the left hand side here, you've got a student takeover from Orla, second year arts student, and here you can just swipe up to see more and it will take you to her course information, but also actually that whole story or highlight will end up being Orla talking about her course and kind of taking over that Instagram. So then you've also got ISA Takeover Week from Hanken. Let our international student ambassadors introduce you to Hanken, their specific major and student life. And as you can see at the top, you've got all those little dashes. They're all the different parts of that story. So actually really exploring different aspects of student life through that student takeover. And I think those student takeovers is something that prospective students are quite used to seeing now. It's quite a common method, but it does work really effectively because it's kind of feeling like that human connection once more and feeling like that student is really reaching out to you and talking to you. London University is, we've got a quote here. This one's a picture. I enjoy having conversations with students and lending them a helping hand and getting to know many possibilities for their future studies. It all adds a joyful dimension to my university life. So a nice quote there, and it looks like they've got lots of different quotes within that story. It's just an opportunity to kind of show a series of pictures, but actually to really put it at the forefront of those prospective students because it's on their story, because it's right at the top of their screen, they're not going to miss it. And the last one there, I think, is actually an example that we made, but shows how you can directly showcase your Unibuddy profiles. You know, you can go onto your widget and copy and paste one of those, screen grab one of those profile cards, and then feature that on your story. Facebook. So this is a channel that most of you have probably used in the past, maybe for community groups, maybe for prospective student groups, accommodation groups, things like that. But have you thought about actually utilizing that platform for advertising and for posting? So there's two ways you can do this. You have those Facebook ads, and also you have Facebook posts. So here we've got University of Glasgow really utilizing those Facebook ads. Of course, you do have to pay for this, but they can be really effective in targeting your specific audience. So here they've got different versions of that ad, but it targets particular prospective students who they'll know would be interested, who maybe have been searching for universities, who kind of fill certain criteria. But that's the Facebook ads. Then alternatively, for free, you could be using Facebook posts. And if you want, you can actually pay a little bit more to promote those posts. But on the Facebook post, we've got these different universities advertising their platform, inviting those prospective students to come and talk on Unibuddy. So actually using a different social media platform to redirect to Unibuddy, to that one space where you can really look at the analytics, you can really delve into those conversations. So Facebook ads, Facebook posts, and I think both of these are effective in different ways. I think Facebook ads really does put it at the forefront of that specific audience that you want. But Facebook ad posts are free, so there's that option too. Twitter. So this is a way that some of our universities have used Twitter as well. So inviting people to events, inviting people to talk once more, and inserting that kind of human aspect on Twitter here. So as you can see, two of these posts have actually got the ambassador sitting in front of a camera talking to that audience. And I think introducing that human aspect, particularly on Twitter, is really important. They're really utilizing those hashtags. That is a big thing on Twitter, likewise with Instagram, actually, not so much Facebook, but those hashtags really help you to appear in those hashtag searches. So if somebody's searching hashtag clearing, hashtag leads, hashtag university, then you're going to be coming up in their searches. But this is, I thought, was quite a nice way of introducing once more those ambassadors, very similar to how I showed you on Instagram, but done in a slightly different way. On the left-hand side, you've got kind of a general invitation to start chatting. So different ways you can do this, but I do think introducing that human aspect and having the face of somebody who is an ambassador there does help those prospective students kind of connect the dots and think, oh, okay, well, if I click this, it means I'm actually going to talk to a real person. LinkedIn. So as I mentioned before, something that you may not have thought about before. This is particularly important for people who run business schools, who have MBA programs, postgraduate programs. If you're targeting mature students in particular, actually those mature students will be on LinkedIn. So with LinkedIn, as I'm sure you're aware, you know, the content is much more kind of professional. So in this instance, we have very kind of serious, professional looking content. So you've got an ambassador video on the left-hand side. So somebody who, the link is in our bio, connect with students and staff to resolve all the questions about the university, the programs, the admissions process, and so much more. Gabriella is part of university. She's a staff member. She's an IE University alumni. So she's kind of introducing herself here in this short video clip on the left-hand side, and kind of her role, her experience at university, and kind of inviting people to come and talk to somebody like her. In the centre, you've got an interview. So actually, this university have interviewed one of their buddies and asked them kind of what is it like to be a buddy, and kind of getting to know them a little bit more. So it's slightly different if you wanted to kind of mix it up a little bit. If you find that you're doing a lot of hi, I'm a buddy, come talk to me videos, then actually you could do something a little bit different like this interview. And a prospective student, particularly a prospective mature student, may be more inclined to select this because it's something they haven't seen before. And then on the right-hand side, you've got this wider ambassador showcase. I like the way they've kind of used a collage. They've made it eye-catching, something to stand out and think, who are these people? So these prospective students would be able to engage with this and see, actually, look, there's a real plethora of people that they can talk to, a real variety of people from different courses, different backgrounds that actually they could talk to, but all with one common goal, that sustainable life. So as you can see on that right-hand side, they really are looking at those kind of niche interests. And I think that's important when looking at targeting your content, is to really think about, who are you appealing to? Are you appealing to all prospects? Are you appealing to a mature prospect? Even drilling down into, are you appealing to a specific course? Are you looking for those STEM students? Are you looking for science and education, sustainable life? So that would really appeal to those STEM students there. So not only can you be advertising your ambassadors generally and your platform, you could also be advertising your events on social media. So here we've got some examples from Facebook and Twitter. So on the left-hand side, that one is from Facebook. So they've advertised their events here, given a link, short and sweet, but this is on that Lancaster University page. So if somebody is following Lancaster University on Facebook, then they will see this post and be encouraged to kind of reach out and have a look at those Unibuddy events that they're hosting. Likewise, on the right-hand side on Twitter, I feel like this is great because they use lots of emojis. We love an emoji at Unibuddy. If you didn't know it before, you know it now. We absolutely love an emoji. And I think it does make this stand out. Join our online open day today at Unibuddy Live now. You can ask us about, and they've listed all of these different interests that people may have. And it just looks interesting. I think if I saw this on my timeline, I'd be engaged and instantly want to have a look. Likewise, actually on the left, they've used a little arrow finger emojis, which would stand out amongst a kind of lots of block text posts. But I think with Brighton on the right there, by covering all these different areas that you might want to talk about, because obviously that event they're advertising as an accommodation event, but actually it's not just accommodation. You could be talking about applying, careers, finance, wellbeing, student life, sport. And actually I think by breaking it down and saying, these are all the different things you can talk about in that event, it makes those prospective students more inclined to want to come, particularly if they've even got just one question about maybe finance. They would just want to find out about whether they'll get a student loan or not. But actually by then enticing them into the event to talk about finance, they're probably going to stay and talk about something else and actually ask further questions. Unibuddy events on Instagram. So once again, using the social media platforms to advertise not just your ambassadors, not just your general platform, but actually your events. So these are two different ways you can do that on Instagram. So we've got this post on the left-hand side, which is a grid post. As I mentioned earlier, the difference between those grid posts and those stories or highlights. So somebody's advertising this event on their grid post there. Likewise, you have on the right-hand side, those story advertisements. So you can see they're actually portrait and they'll fill the screen of a phone. But in these, you can swipe up to see more, to redirect you to those platforms, the events registration platform and things like that. But really advertising those events, showing you, standing out when somebody's looking on their stories and they come across this, they'll go, oh, actually I want to learn a bit more. Look at the bright colors they're using. And I think that countdown on the Royal Holloway one is fantastic. So it's really kind of enticing them, saying, you've got 5 hours until this begins, and this will kind of continue counting every time they have a look on there. It's a live counter. So definitely something to think about, those bright colors, those ways to entice people into your events by having a countdown or some the kind of language that you use there. There you go, that's that one in action. There's a little animation there, once again, making it stand out even more. We've swiped up on the University of Huddersfield advert and it's kind of taken us to this page. So if we just watch this. So actually, I think I misled you a little bit there. So on the left-hand side, that one was actually a redirection to a profile page rather than an event. Whereas the one on the right is an event. So Yeah, applying to university. Yeah, so this one was actually a link to a blog post and a profile that they might want to engage with, whereas the one on the right was for a particular event. But likewise, you can see there's so many different uses and so many different ways you can entice those students in and really get them engaging in your social media. Tips and tricks for recruiting ambassadors as well. So it doesn't need to just be a tool to encourage and engage and recruit those prospective students. Actually, you can be using social media to recruit your ambassadors too. So just a few examples from a few different universities here. We've got Lund again, apply to be an LU ambassador. Really simple kind of graphic that they've created here, but really effective as a grid post. So somebody who's actually specifically looking at Lund University, if you're a student there, you might be looking at engaging with that social media account, and then you see this, then you might be interested to reach out. The center one here, we've got a video, somebody talking about what it's like to be a Unibuddy ambassador at this uni. And I think once again, introducing that human aspect, I think that's really important with any of this to whoever you're connecting with, particularly at the moment. Introducing that human aspect, feeling like you're connecting with a real person really helps. So fancy being a Unibuddy ambassador or blogger for the University Global Recruitment Team. They're hiring now via Campus Jobs. Emily talked to us about her role and showed us what Unibuddy's system is like so we can see what her role entails. And I really like the language they've used here, very informal, very chatty. It feels like you're talking to a friend. And I think that's really important when connecting not only with your current students, but actually those prospective students, is kind of talking in their language. Using emojis and things to kind of entice them in and feel like, actually, yeah, this is something I could see myself doing. Fancy being an ambassador? Yeah, I kind of fancy that. You know, that kind of language can be really effective. And that final one there almost looks a bit like a poster. The perks of being an ambassador, showing you all these different perks and benefits of being an ambassador at this particular university. Now, moving on to that buddy generated content. For those of you who attended my blogs and vlogs workshop, can't remember when that was, last week. I think it was last week. Gosh, time is just, I don't even know what day it is now. But for those of you who attended my blogs and vlogs workshop, you'll be experts in this, hopefully. So you'll know all about the buddy generated content. But for those of you who didn't, hopefully you'll learn a little bit more now. But really, the buddy generated content, what I was talking about in those blogs and vlogs, can be so easily translated over to those social media. So it's all about that human connection. I've mentioned it so many times already in the last half an hour, but if that's anything that you take away from today's session, it is all about that human connection, really humanizing your social media accounts, personalizing it, showing people's faces, ambassadors, having them there so they can see they're real people that they can talk to. It's not a robot. Personality, authenticity, relatability. These are the things that prospective students, Gen Z, that audience that you're relating to. I mean, anyone wants these three things. Personality, once again, seeing that they're a real person with real interests, real hobbies, and by doing this, you'll have some key interests and hobbies that actually people can relate to. So really allowing your ambassadors to show their personalities off and those niche interests that they have, which might appeal to specific prospective students. The authenticity is so important, being genuine and honest and seeing that actually those prospective students saying how great your university is, you can see that they're being authentic about that. You can see that they really do love what they're doing. And relatability. So saying, you know, with that personality, when their personality is shining through, there's aspects of their personality people can relate to, but also just seeing a student of a similar age, similar background, getting such a variety of ambassadors to create your content will make these ambassadors so much more relatable to those prospective students. And we found that particularly with Gen Z, when they're watching videos and things on YouTube, the reason they're doing it is because they can kind of relate to them. So they want to watch people unboxing things, or they want to watch tours of different areas, things like that, because they can relate to it. They feel like they're there with those people and they're kind of a similar age group, similar interests, things like that. A chance to narrow your focus and target smaller demographics within your wider prospective student audience. So that's what I was talking about, that opportunity to really drill into specific niches. With your social content, you can really look into those particular interests using maybe your conversational insights. On your Unibuddy admin dashboard, you could have a look at what kind of conversations, what topics are coming up most common, and trying to really target those demographics, those topics with your buddy generated content. An authentic student perspective, a peek behind the curtain, if you will. So that buddy generated content, the content that you're making your buddies produce, will kind of give those prospective students almost a glimpse, a little sneak peek of what it's like to be at university. Make it feel exclusive. You know, come with me on a tour around the campus. Can feel quite, you know, it can feel quite exclusive. It can feel like you're there in person and you're having the opportunity to have a little glimpse, a little peek behind the curtain. Passive engagement. You'll have prospective students who actually won't ever reach out on the Unibuddy platform for those one-to-one chats, but they may engage with that social content. They may engage those blogs and vlogs on your platform. They may engage with your social media channels, but they may feel too shy. They may just not want to approach you one-to-one to talk to your student ambassadors, and that's okay. By enabling this through your content, by creating such great content, you're still then reaching out to those prospective students who may have otherwise been missed if you were only providing conversations. You're kind of pairing it with this content to really appeal to everyone. And also it always builds trust and reputation. So through showcasing those genuine ambassadors, those authentic ambassadors with their personalities, it really helps create that trust, create that the trust that you would gain if you went on an open date at your university, you know, finding out that actually these real people really enjoy it, and also building your reputation there through those positive things that those student ambassadors are going to be saying about your university. I've got a couple of stats here also that I thought you might find interesting. 86%, that should be percent, I don't know where the percent sign's gone there. 86% of millennials say that user-generated content is a good indicator for the quality of brand. So, you know, lots of people out there saying that actually that user-generated or buddy-generated content helps show what the quality of the brand is. Are you a good university? You know, if somebody's saying that they really enjoy being at your university, here's all the things that I enjoy doing when I'm at university, it really helps to build that reputation and build that idea of the quality of your university. 70% of consumers trust online peer reviews and recommendations more than professional content and copy. This one's really interesting. When I share these slides, I will actually add the references in for you. I'm not quite sure where they've gone today, but 70% of consumers trusting that online peer review and recommendation. I think this one's really interesting because you can think, you can put so much time and so much effort into creating brochures, into creating fantastic information on your website, but actually a lot of consumers, and thinking now about those prospective students, trust those online peer reviews. They trust somebody who's been through it and can talk about it, recommendations, more so than that professional content and copy. So if you're kind of consider putting more and more emphasis on those peer reviews, that recommendation, those blogs, those vlogs, really bigging up your university. There's another few stats here. Videos that appear on social media networks generate 1,200% more shares than text and image content combined. As I said, I will include the references here because I know some of these stats are, but this one I think is really interesting. So really integrating those videos into your social media campaigns can really boost those shares, particularly if they're really interesting, a bit fun, a bit funny. You want people to share them. You want people to start seeing your university and thinking, oh, this looks like a really fun place to be. This is where I want to be. I want to be part of this community. 57% of consumers believe that video content gives them more trust when they're buying online. So again, over half of the consumers out there believe that video content is building that trust, building that reputation. If we combine that then also with that 70% of consumers trusting online peer reviews and recommendation, then I think by combining the two, by creating that video content online bigging up your university, but in an authentic, relatable, and full of personality way, then you're onto a winning combination there. So a couple of intros that actually some of the ambassadors have done in the past. So I showed you those intros that ambassadors had done for Instagram, but actually those intros you can also do on the platform. So these are through the blog feature on Unibuddy. What these ambassadors have done is they filmed a really short video introducing themselves, their name, a little bit about them, the course that they study, things like that. And they've uploaded those to YouTube, and then from that, they've been able to embed that into the Unibuddy platform. And I think this is a really nice way of showing that human side of those ambassadors. And you can share this on your Unibuddy platform really easily through the YouTube link that you can embed on the blogging tool. So I'd recommend doing that, because if they're looking at the ambassadors' profiles, then it's likely they'll have a look in the blogs as well, and they'll find them there. But also you could be repurposing these videos and sharing them on your social media accounts, on your Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and actually sharing these really short snippets of these ambassadors, and then including a link to their profile saying, you know, this is Kayla, she's a whatever student, and if you'd like to talk to her, here's the link here. And I think that's a really nice way of introducing those ambassadors, bring them to the forefront of those prospective students' minds, and particularly those inquirers who are still researching your university and looking on your social media channels. Another example of that user-generated content on the platform is these vlogs. So some really interesting vlogs here. On the left, a really easy one that students can be doing at the moment is those room tours. So where they can't really get out and go to many other places, they'll be able to show you around their rooms. And I think this one works really effectively. As a prospective student, I was really interested in what my accommodation was going to look like, you know, the size of it, would I be able to fit all of my stuff in there. So I think seeing these room tours would be a really great idea for those prospective students to view. Equally, you've got things like a tour of the languages department. You've got a day in the life of a languages student, an architecture student. And for those students who actually can't get out and on campus at the moment, there's the ability to have these virtual tours. So that's what these two ambassadors have done on the far right here. So they've actually done a virtual tour. And even if your university doesn't have virtual tour facilities and there's no kind of 360 pictures available, you could quite easily do something on Google Maps around the local area. And I think this can be really appealing to those prospective students, getting a glimpse, a peek behind the curtain into what university life could be like, not just on campus, but also in that local area. And of course, these would be uploaded onto your Unibuddy platform, but you could be also sharing these on social media and redirecting people to chat to the creators of these this content to ask their questions. If I watch this room tour, maybe she didn't speak about the communal areas. I might want to message her afterwards and say, hi, Martina, can you tell me some more about the communal areas? Your room looks amazing, but I'm interested to find out about the communal areas or the local area, something like that. Start that conversation through that video content, through that great content, and leave those prospective students wanting more. Fantastic. So that was a bit of a whistle-stop tour of kind of social media, the kind of content that you might want to put on there. But I'd like to open the floor to some questions. Kind of, what were you looking to get out of today's session? What were the things that you were interested to find out about a little bit more? And hopefully I can try and answer some of those questions and some of those queries that you had coming to today's session. So please do pop in the chat box if you have any questions or queries or thoughts. Yes, so Megan's just said, great examples. Didn't know we could embed vlogs, so we'll be looking into that. So it is actually quite simple. What I can do is I could share my screen. So if you bear with me just a moment, I will show you an example of actually how to do this. Okay. Just really testing my Zoom abilities now. But I'd like to show you an example of actually how you would go about this. Right, okay, let me share my screen with you. Is that the right one? Yes, fantastic. Okay, so this is my test account. Hopefully you can all see this. So really actually quite simple how to embed the vlog, but not necessarily used as much as it could be. So I'm on my ambassador account. So I've selected my topic. At the moment, we've just got test. I'll put in the title. And here is where you would upload that video. So you've got the option to choose media. So if I was creating a normal blog, what I'd do is I'd upload my blog photo and then I'd start writing my blog down here. But what you can do if you want to upload a vlog is you will have to initially upload it to YouTube. But once you've got that YouTube link, all you have to do is paste that YouTube link here. Yes, so, oh, I have a, am I screen sharing? Yes, I am. So this way, you know, you can have whatever the YouTube link is. Obviously, that's not right. And then you could write a little bit of content underneath as well, kind of introducing what that video is. This is a video about my room at university. So that's not a real YouTube link, so it's not going to work. But if it was, then you could just click create. And then you have submitted a vlog. And it really is that simple from the perspective, from the student ambassador's perspective. So if you have existing blogs and vlogs on YouTube, then you can of course upload them on here as well. It's quite a nice way to kind of integrate it into your Unibuddy platform. But yes, so if you have existing YouTube videos of your ambassadors, you can paste that in there. Well, obviously ask the ambassador to do it from their perspective, and then add just a little introduction below. And if they're looking at creating new vlogs, then they can create those, upload them to YouTube, and then paste that link in there. And it embeds quite nicely, as I showed you on the presentation. If I can get that back up. There we go. So those examples kind of here, this is what they look like once they're embedded. So with the author at the top, the Unibuddy ambassador author with their Unibuddy picture, their Unibuddy course, and then that's the title, and this is where that text would appear. So it actually looks really nice on the platform, and you can also see how many views it's got on the Unibuddy platform. But also, of course, if you click onto the YouTube version of it, it will show you how many views you've had from YouTube too. But really nice, really effective way of integrating those vlogs, repurposing those vlogs that you've already got, those virtual tours, things like that, and using that on the Unibuddy platform. But hopefully that helps. Let me know if you've got any other questions or comments in that chat box, please. So if you enjoyed this workshop, oh yeah, that's Mariam's just said, if you enjoyed this workshop, let us know. Complete a short survey and you may win a gift card if you complete our survey. So please, if you've enjoyed today's session, have a look in the chat box, because there's a little link there to a survey and you might win a gift card. So it's always worth doing if there's a freebie on the horizon. Do you have any recommendations for how we, who are now abiding by the EU accessibility laws, can make the vlogs accessible in terms of captions and things without needing to overburden the students with a lot of extra work? Good question. The vlogs accessible in terms of captions and things without needing to overburden the students with a lot of extra work. So I'd say providing a lot of guidance from your side. So maybe kind of finding out the topics that they're going to be writing about, getting them to send you the vlog after they've published it on YouTube to begin with. You can publish it unlisted, and then actually you can then provide those captions and provide those sorts of things, so that it's not overburdened to the student. It's actually you doing that work, and then the student is creating those vlogs, creating those blogs, but providing guidance in the first place to make sure that they're talking about relevant topics and things like that. I hope that's answered your question. So I'm not massively familiar with the EU accessibility laws myself, but if that hasn't quite answered your question, do feel free to email me, and I'll look into it a little bit deeper. But I think from the top of my head, I would say in general, the best way to do it would be for those students to do the vlogs, create that content for you, and send it to you for your kind of approval, and for you to kind of think up those captions and provide them to the students to upload it with that, if that makes any sense. No questions now, but thanks for the workshop. Really looking forward to bringing a lot of this into our social media channels. Fantastic, thank you. No more questions, thank you. The vlog / video option on the platform looks really nice and really adds value to it. Yeah, I think definitely, you know, utilizing those vlogs, and as I mentioned, if you've already got them and they already exist, there's no harm in popping them on your Unibuddy platform, because it's just another channel, another way that those prospective students can engage with it and find them and discover them. So thank you so much for attending today. Lots of lovely comments there. As Mariam said, please do feel free to fill in that survey and potentially win a free gift card. But if not, I will allow you to have these 10 minutes back. Feel free to take a 10-minute coffee break or whatever. But thank you so much. Let me know if you've got any other questions. I'm just going to go back to that final slide. My email is georgia@unibuddy.com. I'm more than happy to send you this recording, these slides. Feel free to circulate that amongst the other staff at your university. But just pop me an email and I'm more than happy to send that over to you. One tip we have to share as well. Oh, fantastic. Okay. So Audrey has said, we found many of our ambassadors have their own study abroad vlogs on the side. So now we encourage them to post those as well. That is such a great idea. So some of your students may already have YouTube accounts, vlogging experience. They may already be creating this content without you even knowing. So you could always encourage those international students, maybe I mean, some students, just even domestic students, have those vlogging channels where they talk about their student experience. So yes, definitely utilize those students who are already creating that content and ask them if they'd be happy to post that onto your platform. You know, don't make extra work for yourself. If it already exists, then do utilize that and really get that sitting on your Unibuddy platform and allowing those prospective students to discover it in a new way. So this didn't initially create them for Unibuddy, but they ended up fitting in really well as content. They're happy to get the extra exposure. Exactly. So, you know, they didn't create them for Unibuddy in the first place, but actually they fit really well with that content on your website. And to be honest, it's a two-way street. You know, they're getting that extra exposure, they're getting those extra views, which I'm sure they love to see from having those videos on your Unibuddy platform. But likewise, you get that really great content and really very authentic content because they didn't even create it for Unibuddy in the first place. That really authentic, genuine, personal content that those prospective students really love to see. That relatability, that authenticity, and that personality is so important in those vlogs. And is really what that generation are looking for. But awesome. Thank you so much for those insights, Audrey. And Katie, yes, absolutely. So many examples from Reading. Reading have got some fantastic blogs and vlogs. So yeah, sure, sitting there very proud. But some wonderful, I think these ones are Readings. But yeah, some really good examples on their Unibuddy platform there. Fantastic. Well, thank you for attending. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your questions. If anybody else has got any other insights they'd like to share, we do have 5 to 10 minutes left. So please do let me know, as Audrey has, about what's actually worked really well at your institution in regards to social media, in regards to that content. But if you have nothing else to add and no more questions, then please do feel free to take those 5 minutes back. Thank you very much.